Prolonged Paralysis. This is an old augment for an old move on an old fucking frame. So Prolonged Paralysis. Before we get into the move, actually, let's get into the actual ability, and then we'll be able to understand the augment a little bit better. So it's right off the bat, before we even get into the move, holy shit. 5 drain. That's really nice, right? But why are there's 2 drains, which I would be fine with, but why are they not next to each other? Just a little pet peeve there. They should be next to each other, right? They're both costs. It makes no sense that they're separated by the damage. That's ridiculous. That's asinine. That's insane. Psycho schizo mode. So it's got subpar range. It's got 10. Most grouping abilities like this Geyer's Coil Horizon here that I have Helminth on her, 12 meters. So it's not looking good so far for this move. Maybe the Augment can save it. So the damage multiplier and knockback strength. Both scales with strength, of course. Now, ultimately inconsequential because even you're multiplying like the damage of this by 5, it's not going to do anything. Enemies in Steel Path have millions of health. Even if you're multiplying 500 by 5,000 or 500 by 5, it's not going to do anything. So we'll see why it does nothing in a second. But before we get into the actual like damage numbers of it, let's get into the augment now. So prolonged paralysis, the effect duration there, 314%. You'd think duration would scale with duration. Oddly enough, the effect duration scales with power strength. Interesting. I like when they do out of the box stuff like that, but too bad it's a shit move. Now, prolonged paralysis, the augment for it. Affected enemies are sucked towards Valkyr. Stun duration is increased by 200% as we saw, but minus 314. Ultimately inconsequential. So now let's get into showing off the ability and the augment. Additionally, this ability, its main use is setting up for CC, and the CC sets up for finishers. So it's supposed to be a move you spam, right? You're supposed to spam it. It's supposed to be a spammy, castable move. As we can see, they're sucking towards us. 360-degree suck. See, they're getting sucked behind me. And now we're going to suck their shields up. We're going to fully armor strip them. See, I have 1238 shields right now. So the more shields I have, the more damage this move is going to do, her paralysis. So see, they're fully armor stripped. Like, I just want to show, look, you can see the bar go down a little bit when shooting it. It's not even stacked up. Alright, now let's see how much damage the prolonged paralysis does. Wow. It's insulting. Absolutely insulting. Now you may be asking yourself, well, you're shield gating, that's probably why. So look at the 38 at the top of the screen. Interesting interaction. You see how it's going up and coming down? I have Brief Respite and Augur Pact on my pistol. So I have multiple shield gate perks that give me shields when I spend energy. So it's going up and then coming down. Very interesting effect. Ultimately, this move will mess up your shield gating, though, which is another negative to the move. So we're gonna take off the decay key, and we're gonna try to crank this move up to 11 if we can. If you're not sure what the decay key is and what it does and what shield gating is, I would look up a 5-minute video on that. I'm not gonna explain it to you. It's a 5-minute video, and just go watch it. So we're raising our shields. Let's see. I don't think it. Raising our shields. Redirection. 93, something fishy's, yeah, there we go, 370. I knew something fishy was up. It's just a display error. So we're gonna respawn these guys. Now that we have much more shield, we have 3 times the shield. It's 75% more shield. It should do much more damage, right? Let's find out. So we're gonna armor strip them. Plus, this armor strip is gonna look at that 1500. That 1570 is the most shield that we're gonna be able to get. That's cap. So let's look. Wow, almost 4,400. We'll give it the benefit of that. 4,500, 3,000 almost, 2,000. We're almost 75%. As you can see, it's really insultingly low damage move. All the damage multipliers, and I have 200% power strength. Stuff should at least be able to show a 200% power strength. For fuck's sake, in Naros' Sandstorm shows 1,000 times more damage at 200% than Valkyr does. So really odd move, odd augment. Back in my day when we had stamina and she was the premier melee frame, well, actually, up until this augment was buffed, up until a couple months ago, if see how it pulls them towards you, and they're stunned. Back in the day, if you spammed this twice, if you spammed it and it hit someone that was already affected by it, would immediately cancel them out of it. Immediately. So it was actively breaking your kit previously for years and years and years, since like 2016 or something like that. It's been breaking your kit, maybe even 2014. But before Hellmonth, it was all we had for pulling people towards us. It was all we had for pulling people towards us on Valkyr. Now, another bad side about it is that, well, at least in the old days, it used to yank people past you. It no longer does that. No longer yanks them past you, at least. So, I would really highly recommend you use a different ability like Thorough Strike if you have access to the helmet. This is what Prolonged Paralysis should be. It's providing full armor strip, it's giving me health back, and it's also doing CC. It sets them up for finishers as well, just like Paralysis. So I really can't recommend Paralysis and thereby Prolonged Paralysis unless you're a fledgling new Steel Path player that maybe you have a finisher build in order to keep up with the harder parts of Steel Path. Maybe you can't do it on your own. Aside from that, aside from you don't have access to Helmet, as soon as you get Helmet, there's really no reason to recommend this. And the Augment as a result, even if you're built for it, even if you specifically have a Hydron build built for it. Excellent for Steel Chart, but everything's excellent for Steel Chart, right? Like, we see these enemies have, we're gonna group them up. Group up these enemies. We can't kill them with this, but look at this. We're just gonna, don't blink. Oh, I blinked. Where'd everybody go? Where'd everybody go? Let's try one more time. Look, I can't damage them, but I'm gonna blink. And they're gone. Just like that. So yeah, that's the long and short of Prolonged Paralysis. It's a relic from the ages of Yonder, when we had stamina bars and one melee. we had Coptering, and then we had Valkyr. Those were your choices for melee. But now we have more options, so there's no reason to use this even after its rework. Unfortunately, I don't like to be dismissive of augments. I love augments; they're my favorite part of this game. But unfortunately, it's not worth using. Unfortunately, so if you felt like you learned something from this video, I want you to go outside, just start walking, and the first person you encounter, just start telling them about this augment. Just start explaining to them Prolonged Paralysis and see what happens. Report back. So yeah, bye.